Morning YouTube. Today I am heading to Newcastle to do a few things, but one of those things, I'm doing a talking business episode with Andy Stevenson, the founder of Weekendboxclub. So just getting in a taxi now, straight to the train station, up north, 3 hours, and then I'll see you there for the next episode of Talking Business. Boom. Andy, welcome to Talking Business.
Thanks for having me.
We're here in your office back in Newcastle, up in Newcastle I should say, somewhere that's familiar to me. My old office used to be upstairs, so it's quite special for me to be doing this one.
Yep.
And we've obviously known each other for, how long? 5 years? Yeah, it must be.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah, so I obviously know you quite well, but for those that don't, who are you and what is Weekendbox?
So, my name's Andy Stevenson and I run a company called Weekendbox. We make activity boxes for kids aged 3 to 8, delivered through your letterbox. We're a loose subscription service with activities for time-poor parents to use with their children to generate more quality time at the weekends. You get everything you need in a box. You get arts and crafts, things to cook, things to plant, upcycle, science experiments, everything that you need in the box. And this is actually a new customer signing up now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So the lights flash when
a customer signs up. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
So welcome customer, X thousand and whatever.
That is special. Awesome.
And yeah, we package everything together, put it through, send it to you, addressed to your child, and deliver it right through your letterbox in time for the weekend. So all our boxes arrive on Fridays, ready for you to go and have some amazing time with your family.
Amazing. And talk me sort of, how did this come about and why did it start? It's such a sort of amazing kind of, when you talk about that, it's exciting for kids.
Yep.
What inspired this?
I realised I was a very bad employee. I'd had one job since university and I was a software developer for another technology startup here in Newcastle. Realised, it took me actually about 18 months to realise that I hated my boss and that actually a lot of the things that he would implement drove me nuts. For example, making sure that he could see over my shoulder at all times in a company of 2 or 3 people, where I was supposed to be the technology lead kind of thing. Lots of things I didn't agree with, very bad culture, and I thought, well actually look, if I really think I could do something different, then I should put myself to the test. So I quit my job without any plan of what I was going to do. I had 2 months to figure out what I was going to do, and towards the end of that period I whittled it down to sort of 2 options. One, I was going to go travelling and just have a bit of time out and just kind of recoup from the business. Or secondly, I wanted to make something. Having worked always in software, I had this romantic idea that dealing with product, stock, physical items was going to be pretty cool. And pretty quickly got surrounded by boxes, pipe cleaners, like all sorts of kind of stuff like that. So the romanticism wore off pretty quickly. But crucially, what I wanted to do on day one was to work out, through this kind of lean business mindset, if I'm going to create a business, how quickly can I do it? What does it need to look like? How rough and ready can I make it in order to just get something off the ground? MVP, all this kind of stuff. So on day one, I went out to the shops, bought 10 different craft kits, repackaged them in handwritten envelopes, and put my brand mark on everything. Printed a few activity cards from home, I think. Put them into some Amazon folding boxes, literally just I bought off the shelf. And sent them out I had 10 boxes that I sent out to some people who I knew who had kids, like my nieces and nephews were part of the trial group. One person who got in touch via Twitter who I'd never met before, who I think is probably still one of our longest serving customers, which is amazing. And sent them out these boxes and said, look, these are free in exchange for your feedback. I then sort of pestered them for feedback and what they thought about them. It was a bit too late to quit my job by that point, but I was like, should I continue this? And then I was a bit cheeky with the follow-up and said, well look, what would really help me work out what price I should charge is if you could make a donation to me, feel free not to, but if you can make a donation based on what you think it's worth. And so I made money on those 10 boxes, made a little bit of profit, which was awesome.
From day one?
From day one, yeah, from 10 boxes with handwritten labels, and stuff that I just repackaged off the shelf.
So that, when you talk, going back a little bit, when you talk about that, was that your first job that you didn't enjoy?
Yeah, I mean, like, I've always dabbled in my own businesses. Weekendbox will probably be the third or fourth business, one that possibly at some point will make a success. You know, it's a long journey, and we're in a short way along it. My first business was straight out of school. I used to design websites. I'd been doing it during summers and things like this, and I thought actually I'll turn it into a business. And it turns out actually running a business is really, really hard. And I eventually got bored and just kind of played around with different projects or these kind of things. So I've always kind of, I suppose, had a bit of an entrepreneurial spark. I've always known I don't like being told what to do, which doesn't bode well for being an employee for too long. And in my previous job before Weekendbox, I was actually a freelancer as a technical consultant for about 16 of those 18 months. I literally lasted from January to March.
And it sounds like you always had like a passion for technology or creating things online.
Yeah, well, I learned at university that there were three things I cared about. Technology, education, and kind of greenness, if you can. Now, looking after the planet, making sure that we leave it a little bit better than we found it, and these kind of things. And we'll come into where Weekendbox fits around those, but I was always really passionate about the overlap between technology and education. How do you make learning more fun, more interactive, more appealing, especially for younger age kids? Like, what can we do differently to engage or re-engage kids in learning, and change practices to make learning more effective and those kind of things. It was something that I discovered that actually I was really, really interested in. It was when I was doing my dissertation, and as a computer science student, I wasn't never really very good at that side of things, the technology side of things, but I was more interested in where it could kind of be used and applied to education. So I kind of discovered that I'm really passionate about these three things, and then just kind of followed that passion forward.
So it sounds like you studied computer science. So as a kid, so at school, you said after school you were kind of playing around with creating websites.
Yep.
So that was where your sort of passion lied a little bit, and then you went into uni to study that. And whilst you're at uni, not only on top of that, you've also sort of learn more about what else excites you, which is this bit about education and a bit about sort of the world and the planet.
Yeah, and on top of that, and it's probably more the entrepreneurial side, is actually doing something that a lot of my peers don't do. So like, I went to Durham University, I came in wanting to go and be a banker in the city, which is probably a good career if you want to hate your life. I quickly realised that actually I didn't want to follow the typical path. I mean, students who go to Durham go back, spend 3 years in the north and go straight back to London and work for a professional services company, accounting company, or a bank. Great, fine, honourable careers, and your parents are probably very proud, but it's just boring. Like, to me, it's very boring, and I realised very quickly that actually I didn't want to be money-led. Like, if money is something that is important to you on a personal level, earning lots of money or earning a particular amount of money, then that shouldn't be the driving force, that should be the result. The driving force should be a passion. It should be something you wake up every morning and want to do. Like, if you're working 20-hour days, it should be because you want to work those long hours, because you don't feel like it's work. If you're doing it because you can't afford not to do it, my personal opinion is you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
And are these, like, those values, are those things you learned, or was it something growing up? I don't know too much about, like, before even sort of uni and that bit of your life. But these things that, like, you were brought up around?
My family don't come from money. My dad would call himself working class, although that's perhaps a bit of a stretch to the phrase. Neither of my parents went to university. My mum went to university when she was a mature student, much later on. But they always brought us up with, like, very strong values of independence, of resilience, of kind of like that grit, and just kind of making sure you do. But it's not to say we had a hard childhood, and by a long stretch of measurement that's not true. We had a very loving, caring childhood, and one that fostered a lot of really good values, I think. Working towards a goal, not just having everything handed on a plate, which I think is a very valuable lesson. But actually, it was a conversation I had with one of my brothers whilst I was at university, and he'd gone off into a very successful corporate career, and would probably describe himself as sort of having golden handcuffs. Like, he's very good at his job, can do it with his eyes closed, gets paid an awful lot of money, and just doesn't really enjoy it, isn't really changing the world, or look, it's not making an impact. But you've got the lifestyle and you can't kind of get out. And he was the one who sat me down and said, look, when you're looking at careers and you're looking at things you want to do, this is when I was struggling to...
How old were you at this point?
This was university, so I was probably 20, 21.
Yeah.
I think I was going into my final year to try and work out what I was going to do after university.
Got it.
He said, don't start with the money. Like, don't go and get the graduate job that pays you the most salary. Don't be money led. Like, if you're good at something, which you will be, the money will follow. And that was one strong lesson that stayed with me, and I recount that to a lot of people.
Yeah.
We're not flush with cash now, but I get up every morning and I feel really proud of what we do. And I see the photos we get sent in on social media of our customers and their kids having amazing memories. And I think actually, we're changing the world one little bit at a time. That makes me feel really proud.
And it sounds like your brother's kind of advice back then still rings true with like some of the decisions and some of the things you do today.
One of our main values is long-term profitability. Like, we're not interested. I want to build a company that stands the test of time. I'm not interested in making a quick buck and flipping the company and moving on to something else. I want to do something that, as I say, that helps improve the world, leaves it a little bit better than we found it. And that could be in any stretch of it could be any part of the world. It could be in people's lives, it could be in the environment, it could be anything, right? It doesn't mean to say you're a social enterprise or a charity. We're a for-profit company. We have to make money to keep the lights on, but actually we have greater purpose and goals outside of just money. As I said, like, even on a corporate level as well as a personal level, if you're money-led, it probably is not going to end too well, in my opinion.
And awesome. So going back to like that initial stage or so, we're sitting here now in like sort of the offices and kind of like with the Weekendbox brand around us, but back then a lot of these things didn't exist. By the sounds of it, when you quit your job, you had this first kind of idea for what this could be, and you went super scrappily, kind of bought a few boxes, put them together. Like you said, you made profit from day one. At what point did you feel like this could be a thing? This could be real?
Well, I'm a bit ignorant, and I'm a bit naive, and I'm a bit bloody minded. And the combination, I think, of those three things is that you never really stop to acknowledge, have you gone too far, or is this worth it? So the sort of project I set out on day one is kind of still going on. Like, we still iterate our boxes every fortnight. Like, we tweak things, we amend things, make things better, we test things in every single box. It's kind of like that project that just kind of is still going. Because of the fact that we've always grown, and we've kind of, it's not always been straight linear growth. I don't think anyone has ever had that. We up and down, up and down, up and down, but gradually we're going in the right direction. Just because we've kept doing that, and we've kept having customers, and we've, just about at times kept our head above board. I mean, I think it's, there's definitely once, possibly twice, we've been literally a day or so from going under, and I don't think that's rare for businesses. And it's not good, and I normally keep these things to myself, which is perhaps not great. But everyone has, no one has a smooth run, and we just started out making boxes, and my bloody mindedness set in and made some more, and a couple of those customers that we had from the first run. Invited some friends, and then we started doing a bit more and more and more. And within 6 months, we sold 1,000 boxes.
Really?
Yeah.
6 months. And when you say we, was that still just you at that point?
Yeah, sorry, royal we. Yeah, just me. Yeah, I was making.
So you alone sold 1,000 boxes.
Yeah, based out of my bedroom in a shared house.
I think the first time we met, you were on a bike. And you kind of cycled into, I think you just moved into my office, or you were kind of knocking around. You had your bike, you had a sort of rucksack on the back, and I kind of heard about you, but
infamous.
you had to run off and say, sorry, I've got to run to the post office, it's closing at 5. I'm pretty sure it's closed at 5. That was the first time I met you.
Yeah, this is not an unusual story,
That bit from 0 to 1,000, was that fun, exciting, scary, all of the above?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, like, it's amazing to look back on it now. When you're stuck in the middle of it, the exciting times are when the orders go nuts and you just don't know what to do. Like, but that's a good problem to have. Like, I've got 100 boxes that have come in today, and I have no idea how I'm going to get them out. Call all your friends. They come round. You get the boxes out. You have a bit of a celebration. You go out for dinner, and you start again the next day. Scary. I was more naive at that point. I didn't know the first thing about profit and loss, balance sheets, things like this. I just figured if I buy it for this and I sell it for that, it'll be all right. Turns out you have this thing called overheads, which generally come and catch up with you at some point in the end.
Like paying your rent.
Paying your rent, right? Yeah. It was a very good friend of mine, Alex Robinson. He sat me down and said, right, because he was working for PwC at the time, he was helping with my accounts, and he went, so how do you know if you're making money? How do you know how many customers you got? And I went, how many boxes have we got going out? And he's like, you don't have the foggiest clue like how the business is doing. And I was like, look, if I've got more boxes going out this week than last week, that's a good thing, right? And he went, yeah, but you kind of so we kind of grown on and added a bit more structure. Like, naivety got me through. Well, it's probably still getting me through now. Like, if you think about something and you know you need to think about it and it's a bad thing, then you start worrying about it. It's a natural reaction, and then it keeps you up at night, and then you lose focus and you lose sleep. If you don't know about something that's about to hit you in the face, you don't worry about it. Entrepreneurs or business owners, people in general are pretty resilient. So all you need to take is a kind of like problem-solving approach. The same still happens now. Like, if we have a problem, doing X, Y, Z, you just find a solution for it. Like, I'm not really one to whinge or whine or moan, but if we've got a problem, you just find a solution. And it's a bit cheesy to say that, and it's easy for some people to understand, and others maybe not so easy. But like, that naivety in the first instance was really what got me through. I mean, that and just keeping on going. Like, no one had told me to stop, so I kind of just kept going.
For me, I saw that and I was excited, and I thought, wow, that's exciting. This guy's kind of cycling around Newcastle, delivering boxes to the country. But I can imagine, you've grown up, you've gone to a top university in the country. You're surrounded by the people that have gone off to get, like, just as you said before, great jobs, earning a lot of money. You had a job, you quit your job, and you're now doing this. What did the people around you, I don't know if you, girlfriend, mum and dad, friends, brothers, what did they think of what you were doing?
Well, I think you always have to take parents out of the equation, because whatever you do, mum and dad will always be proud of it. And that probably still holds true. If you say you're going to go to Mars, they'll go, yeah, good luck, off you go, and that's great, right? You kind of need that support.
Some people don't always have that from their parents.
It's very true, actually, and actually I'm very lucky to sort of have that.
Yeah.
A lot of people around me, people probably fell into two camps, right? One would probably be, are you sure? Are you sure you're going to do what? So you're just going to quit your job and not have a plan, and you haven't thought about how much money you need, or like anything. Like, literally just jumping off into the abyss. Kind of like, are you crazy? Should I refer you to someone? That kind of thing. And others are kind of like, that's really cool. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's good luck. Good luck. And I suppose it's that balance of having those both types of people, insofar as the people who are kind of going, you're crazy, are the ones that inspire you to prove them wrong. Like, that's ridiculous. You'll never make a business out of that. There's no market there. Well, I'm going to prove that there is. Like, bloody mindedness and determination is going to show you there's a market there.
Yeah.
And the other people are your champions. They're the people going, yeah, come on, right? I'll introduce you to this person and that person.
Yeah.
They're like almost the first, if not the very first thing I did on day one, before I went and bought the craft materials and stuff, was that I made a page, a note in my diary, and I wrote down all the people I wanted to go and talk to and tell about this business idea that I had. And they were people that I thought might be able to help me in some way. I didn't know how, but I wanted them to know what I was doing, because there'll always be things that kind of come on the back of that. Paul Smith was one of those people. He basically told me I was a bit crazy, but good luck. And I get the feeling like he maybe have a bit more respect for me now that we're still trading 5 years on. A very tough person to deal with, but an excellent person nonetheless. But one who's very influential and who's been very helpful to us over the years.
Yeah.
And I worked my way down this list, and went and spoke to as many people as I could about particular things. And
so people you respected that you thought, I just want to almost, although I know people are buying these boxes, I want to speak to some people that I respect, just to give me a bit of kind of like a judgment call. Not my parents, not my brother,
Yeah. I think the conversation with Paul went something like, we should talk to Tristan, who previously ran a subscription box business, a year or so earlier, or had closed or sold or something. And he said, well, he'll have much more insight than I will. And I went, brilliant, I'll go and talk to Tristan. Thanks very much.
Nice.
That's where I met Tristan, and we kind of went up from there.
And so 6 months in, 1,000 boxes, what happened next?
12 months, 10,000. 18 months, 20,000. And the rest is history.
Wow.
This year we'll do somewhere in the region of about 500,000 boxes, which is pretty cool. We're starting to do what we kind of call white label boxing, which is a bit of a boring way of actually describing what we actually do, which is we know how to run from the end to end, how to run a subscription box business. It just so happens that children's activity and craft boxes comes out the end. But we know how to do the marketing, we know how to do the billing, the customer service, the content, the creative, we need the production, the fulfillment, everything. And actually we're all set up to do it. If we were to introduce subscription boxes for other brands, people who maybe don't have this end-to-end ability but have got maybe a huge database of customers or want a new revenue stream, that's where we come in. And whether it's a global kids engaging game and brand and app who want to reach people in a way that is more personal than a magazine, or whether it's a charity who actually want to bake a donation into a box that they sell to their customers over time and use it as a regular giving channel. It doesn't really matter what the business is or charity is. I mean, I quite like the charity sector because it means we're using innovation to help really worthwhile causes to flourish. And we're working with a number of charities, including Age UK and some others as well around the country, to actually create craft products that we can send out to people that have a donation baked in and help them, avoid having to stop people on the street and sign up for £2 a month direct debits, which I really like.
Cool.
So that's what we're doing now.
And how big is the team now?
So we've just taken on our 9th person. Is that right? Yeah, 9th person. We will probably be this sort of level for
another sale.
Yeah, another sale. Yeah, we should have a little cha-ching.
Yeah, we should. Yeah. I love that the lights flash every time there's a new subscriber. I think that's awesome.
It's a great visual reminder, a visual tool.
Yeah. So that's 500,001.
Something like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a great little thing that you catch out of the corner of your eye from the office that just kind of helps motivate you. Yeah. And you definitely tell the difference in sort of mood across the office. Like if we have a quiet day versus a really busy day. But you got to always manage that busyness. Like you don't want so busy that everyone is stressed. You need somewhere in between. And look, sometimes you have busy days and sometimes you have quiet days.
But going back to that kind of, you're just bringing on your 9th member of the team. Can you remember the first member of the team and what that felt like? So
it's a funny story really. Like I got a text from a friend who said, "Are you coming to the pub quiz tonight?" It was a Monday night. And I said, "No, sorry, I've got a load of boxes to pack. Tuesday's dispatch day." And he said, "Haven't you got someone to do that for you?" And I went, "That's a brilliant idea. I haven't even thought of hiring someone, because I always thought you have full time or you have part time, and I literally had 2 hours a week of packing, and I was working from home, so I didn't really want people coming around my house and stuff. And basically, I just needed an extra pair of hands. But I wrote out on a piece of paper, I was like, what do I actually need? It's probably 2 or 3 hours of packing a week. Ideally, you can do it from home. You need to be self-employed because, we can't guarantee you work and all this kind of stuff. Typical kind of startup stuff. And anyway, I put an advert on Gumtree, went out to the pub quiz, came back and I had 50 replies in about 3 or 4 hours. And it put me in a bit of a sticky situation because I had no easy way of finding out who I should hire and who was going to be the best person. So in the end, I just picked the person closest to my apartment. I didn't have a car at the time. I was literally cycling around everywhere, to the post office with my camping rucksack full of Weekendbox crafts and stuff. And I would drop stuff off with little packing sheets and say, right, I'll come pick it up tomorrow and stuff. And it gradually kind of, grew and grew over probably 6 months or so. And then in the January after we started, so January 2014, we had 1 week where we went from shipping about 100 boxes a week to over 1,000. And it was just absolutely nuts. We introduced a refer a friend scheme. It helped drive like snowball viral effect type thing, which was amazing, right? But it sort of translated roughly into me turning up one day going, oh, well, we think we're going to have to get a warehouse at some point. So the next day going, I've signed for a warehouse. Like the day after, like we've got a bigger warehouse now. Like, you know, we've got so much stuff. And so anyway, I mean, like really cool growing pains. And I distinctly remember the week that we had to get all the boxes out, like the last possible day we could get those out. Sarah and Sonia were packing boxes in basically a metal shed with no heating, and like it was a horrible environment. It was a safe store, which is like a storage unit. You know, it's not an office, it's not a warehouse, but it kind of just made do. And I sort of turned to them at about like 2 o'clock, knowing that we had to get the boxes to the Royal Mail by like 5 o'clock. Going, I don't think we're going to make this, guys. And then Sarah just immediately turned around and went, yes, we are. Come on, yeah. And you kind of know from that, you know, that's what you kind of get you get a huge buzz from that. So that was kind of pretty formative, and then so we got grown on from there. But
that all sounds so real. Suddenly you've got other people who want it as much as you. You've signed a lease on something, and you've got, by the sounds of it, thousands of people that expect a box the next morning.
Yeah,
and that all sounds exciting. That's great. Like, and it sounds like the growth is just crazy, which is exciting. But I'm sure there must have been like sleepless nights and really difficult periods to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. I mean, I say possibly because I didn't really get it. I mean, maybe I was too caught up in the buzz of like, you know, growing the business and like how that might translate to sales orders and all this kind of stuff. Or just actually just getting stuff done, like, and not really having time to think about or worry about things. But you know, it's just that determination. Like you just keep going. Like sometimes I just don't stop, which is, it's kind of a good quality and a bad quality. It's certainly good if you're getting stuff done, but it has its kind of repercussions. I wouldn't say I worried too much though. Like it was great. I think it taught me that it was like what I really liked was having a team of people who all bought into the same thing. You know, when someone is so committed and so happy to kind of, you know, give their heart and soul to something, you know, you're kind of working on something that is important. And that for me was kind of one of the earlier moments of being able to kind of see that. And that's probably where a culture starts and then is fostered and nurtured. You know, and hopefully now it's kind of grown into a, you know, maybe a more formalised kind of culture with values and philosophies.
That all go back to those early days, and it's still here today,
exactly,
5 years on.
You know, and hopefully we're still as true to our values today as we were, you know, back then.
And so it doesn't sound like you worried from a kind of the business side of things. You enjoyed that, you thrived, but it does sound like you did really go all in, and it did consume you. And you said, you touched the word you used was repercussions. Yeah. And was that, are you talking there about like more personal, like your personal life in a way? Yeah, possibly. I suppose, like going back a bit, like you don't worry about a cash flow forecast if you don't know what one is. So, you know, being, you know, so close to kind of what could be the end doesn't worry, it doesn't keep you awake because you don't really know you're there. So that kind of gets you going. What sort of repercussions? Like, you just got to. I think you always got to keep your finger on the pulse. Like, it's a sad but maybe hard reality that, you know, some people might not stay with you the whole time along the journey. You know, people change, people's lives change. I think as a founder or as a boss, you just kind of got to make sure that you have either the structures or your finger on the pulse to be able to know, understand when things might not be right. You know, there's always a story behind something, you know, an action. If someone has a bad day at work, is that led by something deeper? Is that your business? You've got to, you know, there's so many things that play on your mind, and you have to always be conscious of. But ultimately, I think it comes down to being a decent person. You know, you wouldn't treat your friends in a bad way, so why would you treat your employees or your colleagues? You know, if you wouldn't be rude to someone in your family, or perhaps you would, I don't know. But you know, it's the same kind of relationship. We call ourselves a family because we want to try and cultivate that family culture. You know, we're a strong, single bonded unit. We look out for each other, I would hope. And you know, we don't have to be best friends. It's not like I'm asking, you know, it's not like I'm dating or like looking for like
my new Bezzy. We just need to just have a nice, so if you've got a nice environment, a nice culture to work in, then work always feels a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I always relate to, it's now part of my onboarding speech for every new employee, but Norman, who's our warehouse manager, in his interview said, when I was talking about how our values and positivity and what the kind of culture I want to create, he said, the way I see it, your day splits down into 3 days. You sleep for 8 hours, you work for 8 hours, and you have fun for 8 hours, or you have 8 hours of your own time. And if you can have fun at work, you've doubled your enjoyment time. And I went, perfect, that sums up exactly what I want to try and achieve. So now everyone who, I think it's referred to as the values talk, first morning, everyone, I sit down with everyone. Absolutely everyone, from a packer to a creator, anyone who works with us, it doesn't matter. We're all one team. We have a completely flat structure, or as flat as can be, because we're all we're all singing from the same hymn sheet, hopefully. And I'll sit down and I'll talk about the journey that we've gone through to get here, and the things that have got us here, and the things I want to embody and instill in them moving forward. And since we started doing this, and since we started being more proactive about talking about what we stand for and standing up for that, our retention has gone through the roof. Like, we've seldom lost a member of staff for any other reason than absolute necessity when they wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And I think that again, it's one of the things that makes me feel proud. That's kind of what I set out to do. I wanted to create a company that was different to others, that was so far away from the culture of the previous job.
I think when you touch on those things, for me, a lot of the time we hear, like, I even me get excited about that bit at the start where it's 6 months, it's 1,000 boxes, you're doing everything yourself, it's fun, it's new.
Yeah.
Almost no responsibility other than people receiving their boxes and you've been able to maybe pay your rent.
Yeah.
Now you've got a team of people that rely on you or Weekendbox, and these things like values and kind of managing people and managing what people need and want, they're different challenges that I think a lot of the time we don't talk about in entrepreneurship or running businesses. These are things that kind of are seriously important to sort of get to the next level. How have you found learning those? Has that come naturally to you? Or have you really had to work at it?
I think the thing, whenever I've talked to business owners or people starting their own companies, entrepreneurs, the one thing that is always the hardest is dealing with people, because you can't really teach people management skills. I mean, to a certain degree you can, but broadly it's one of those things where you kind of have to fall, pick yourself up, fall again, and just kind of learn through doing. And there are no hard and fast rules about how to deal with one person over another. You can't have a one-size-fits-all policy. We're all different, and we all respond in different ways. If you're into kind of the theoretical side of it, then look at Myers-Briggs. Get every one of your staff to do some kind of psychometric test, and that might give you a bit of an insight into how you can most effectively speak to them or communicate with them. But it's not going to tell you how to deal with a problem when tensions are really high. And it's dealing with people, not as an issue, but in terms of cultivating them, making sure they're on the right path, helping them, supporting them where they need. I think these are things that you just have to learn. You can learn from others. You can take negative experiences and turn them positive. You will almost certainly make mistakes. I'm exactly the same. I look back and I kind of think, God, why did I make that decision, or why did I say that, or that was really stupid, or insensitive. And you just got to try and make sure that you're always in an upward trajectory.
And it sounds like it's just, from the early days, just a project. Everything, by the sounds of it, you just do, and you learn from doing, and you treat it as a project, from managing people to shipping more boxes to moving into new warehouses. It's just another part of that.
It's just solving a problem.
Yeah.
We've got too many.
Another sale.
Yeah. We've got this problem. We just need to fix it.
Yeah.
I think in my head it feels less scary about maybe the size of the business that we now are, to just kind of think of it as a fun project. We just make activity boxes for kids. Yeah. I mean, if it's as simple, it doesn't matter how many tens of thousands go out each week, or whatever kind of metric you look at. These are important things, and they track your business progress over time. But if we just kind of say that we just make activity boxes, to me it makes it feel like yeah, it's just a bit different as well. You know?
Relieves that kind of pressure in a way.
Exactly, pressure is pressure that you build yourself up to.
Yeah.
And then kind of worry about.
Yeah. And what's next for this project? So we're doing 500,000 boxes this year. We've touched a bit about kind of sort of expanding the model to other brands and allowing to do that. Where do you see this going? How long do you see yourself doing this for?
Well, one thing that I've learned about myself, probably since university, is that I need to reinvent my job and my role and what I have to do probably every 3 to 6 months, and I always get bored. And if you get bored and you're in charge of a company, then it gets a bit tricky because that kind of has repercussions. Thankfully, with every new member of staff we bring on, we're really lucky to attract really great people who are very passionate, who always go over and above, who always kind of like self-manage and kind of help us along our journey. So it means that my role is kind of just to plug the little gaps and then find someone to kind of go into that, which means that I'm constantly evolving. What next? Well, 2018 is going to be a really big year for our white label subscriptions. It's we've done a whole number of pilot projects now, so we know the types of opportunity, the types of people we're looking for, the types of brands that we think will work, and actually some that won't work, the types of charities and how to deal with those and how to fit in. I just want to get out there and do it. I think it's actually really exciting. We're in a place where Weekendbox's core business, the activity boxes that we send out, is growing, at a decent rate. Last year with 2 people, when I was doing the role of 3 people, we still grew 30%, which is amazing. And now we've kind of got more people in place, and we've got good budgets, and we've got the resources, we've got everything we need to go and grow. And that's the next challenge. Can we double the size of the business again? Can we treble it? Can we 10 times it?
Yeah.
Why not? We're still only 5 years old. That is incredibly young, and actually it's incredibly short on our kind of vision of creating a company to stand the test of time. But actually this is the perfect time where we can be doubling, trebling, 10 times in growth. And why not? As long as we manage it, as long as we all do it together. We're not trying to catch people out by saying, oh, by the way, there's 1 million boxes going out next week, hope you've got them packed. As long as we do it all as a team, it's a bit of fun.
It's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my last question, which is the question of talking business, what's the biggest thing you've learned over the last 5 years?
The value of naivety. I've talked about it a lot in now with you, but actually I look back and with what I know now and all the advice and training that I've had, be it through direct experience or learning from others, if I'd known everything that I know now, I would never have gone off the ground. I would have never started. Not knowing what's around the corner gets you up in the morning and gets you doing stuff, and just following that passion, following that dream. You've got no voices shouting you can't do that. What are you going to do about this? Or when you VAT due and things like that. Why not just look? I'm just going to start making boxes and see if it works. And yeah, as we grow, more formal structures exist. They have to, when you deal with staff and all sorts of things like that. But actually, I think that naivety, why can't we do this? I'm just going to prove people wrong. What's going to stand in the way? I don't care. If someone says I can't do it, that's enough for me to go and prove them wrong.
Love it.
So yeah.
Embrace naivety.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Andy,
it's your friend.
Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Right.
Boom.
That was good.
That was really good. Really enjoyed that.